Hi and welcome to the Being Dad podcast. It's Homestart Glasgow South and it's myself, Joe, and my friend here, Doug.
How you doing, Joe? You alright?
Yeah, I'm very well, Doug, thanks. And today we're going to be talking about some pointers, some tips, best practice for dads, wee things we wish we knew. And we're going to cover a few things, wee things we can change and tweak. So
and we've also some feedback from our antenatal workshop for dads was including tips on what to buy and what not to buy. So in other words, what you need and what you don't need. So we'll cover a little bit of that today. We won't be mentioning any brand names, but we don't want you to feel you need to spend the earth, because you don't need to spend the earth for your new child.
Not. Yeah, so first thing we're going to talk about is support your partner. So support your partner from the get-go, mentally and physically. And some of your top points and key tips are try and give up smoking if you do smoke.
But that's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So even if you can't quit, and we're not saying when baby's born, we're saying immediately as soon as you find out that your partner's pregnant, stop smoking around her. Maybe it means you need to leave the house and go for a walk and smoke. That might give you the urge to quit, but definitely reduce your smoking. That also goes for alcohol intake as well. I know people will be thinking, well, what's alcohol going to do? But it helps a lot if you were to cut down alcohol, especially if you're a bigger drinker.
I think one of the other aspects around that is when you get baby home and they're in the next to me bed or in the same room, and you've drunk a lot of alcohol, there's a lot of the atmosphere. We don't feel it because we're adults, we've got huge lungs. But for babies, small lungs, the quality of the air is really important. So that's one of the other side effects of having too much alcohol.
Yeah, and also when you're supporting your partner, go to the antenatal classes, couple antenatal classes if you can find any in your area.
There's some couples antenatal classes. We, of course, as you guys know, if you listen to the podcast, this is a sort of an addition to our dad's antenatal workshop that we run monthly in Glasgow. So we really encourage you guys to come along to those if you can. Yeah,
and another good tip would be to exercise with your partner. You know, moderate exercise is really good during pregnancy.
Yeah. Not to do a marathon.
Yeah, you don't need to overdo it. Just a little bit of exercise, whether it's a walk or, a bit of swimming is also really good.
I think the other thing is that goes hand in hand with that is eat healthier food. I think just generally it helps your body work a little bit better. You're probably in for a little bit of sleeplessness when baby arrives, so just being slightly better prepared. I'm trying to remember, Joe, if I followed any of these things when I had my kids, but in hindsight.
Yeah, true. But the eating healthier thing, maybe you don't cook as much now as you may be planning on when the baby's here. So it's maybe a good idea to start prepping food for the week, just to make a bit easier, give you some more time, free up your partner's time as well if you do the majority of the cooking or the food prep.
I think another thing, and this is for also a logistical point of view, plan your route to the hospital or wherever you're planning to give birth. Obviously, if it's a home birth, that's a completely different kettle of fish, but you know the hospital you're going to be going to, know where the parking lots are, know where the maternity entrance is, where maternity assessment is, and you never know. You might have 8:30 a.m. on a Monday morning, you have to head to the hospital. It's a different ball game to Saturday afternoon, for example. So just be aware of, either traffic. There's nothing you can do about it much, but just be aware of alternative routes should you need them.
Yeah, and if you don't drive and maybe you're using a friend or a family member to take you to the hospital, maybe have a backup as well, just in case they end up unavailable. And make sure that they know and they're okay with going at any time of the day, like Doug had said, because you don't know when it will happen.
Right, now we're going to move on to the section of what to buy and what not to buy. Maybe I'll start it off just with something I remember, and a brand name I can mention because they no longer exist, was Mothercare. I remember they had a promotion on, and part of this promotion was you could win £5,000. And we're talking probably 10 years ago when I saw this. You could win £5,000 to, quote, get everything you need for your baby. I can assure you, and Joe would agree, that there's absolutely no ways you need to spend $5,000 on things for baby. In Scotland, we're very fortunate to have the baby box that the government will send you. Brings clothing, a place for baby to sleep, a number of other items that you don't need to go out and buy. But even if you choose to buy all the things yourself, a cot, obviously your buggy, there's no way you need to spend anywhere near $5,000 for that.
Yeah.
Just try avoid the whole thing of, to show love to my child, I need to spend a lot of money. It's not the case.
And you even don't need to go to big stores and buy brand new everything. You know, there's a lot of really good charity shops in Glasgow that you could go to.
Yeah.
The merry-go-round is one of them, and they'll sell a whole load of stuff for newborn babies. The only thing we would say if you are buying like a second-hand crib or cot is to get a brand new mattress and make sure it fits perfectly. Mm-hmm. You don't want a second-hand mattress. So that's one of the things.
That's one of the things. The other thing, I think, so you get one of those, but when it comes to quantities of things, I think we get it wrong. So you buy a pack of baby grows, a pack of 3 or 5, and you think, well, and you might be right in thinking, well, baby will go through these quite quickly. So you buy maybe 3 packs. So you put them on, you use them, you find that you only need 6 of these baby grows, 7 of them through the wash cycle, and you've got this extra pack that you didn't need. You've got family members who will bring gifts, and sometimes that's baby clothes. So you could easily end up with way too much. And on top of all that, a very obvious thing is that babies grow quite quickly. Yeah. So you might have a leftover pack of totally unused, unopened baby grows.
Yeah, and you don't need to stockpile nappies and stuff like that either.
No.
Especially newborn nappies. You don't need to go and buy 30 boxes of nappies. Just to, whatever brand you're comfortable trying, but what we would say is you don't need to be loyal to the brand. Try several different brands, see what fits your baby best. Go through the ages, you don't buy 20 boxes of newborn.
Yeah, I mean, to start off, baby will probably be needing a nappy change quite frequently. But they also grow quickly, so the nappies that fit them when they're newborn probably won't fit them at 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So they change that fast.
So just a few packs of newborn baby nappies would be good, or reusable cloth nappies if you're going to be using them. You will need a wee bit more than them, but it's just a one-off buy if you know what I mean. But also like cotton wool to clean with a changing mat or towels and stuff like that. You don't need to go over the top with any of them. You'll need some barrier cream to protect your baby against nappy rash and the likes. And
a really keen tip is you can use cotton wool if you like, but sometimes they get all stringy. You can use makeup remover pads. Your partner...
Yeah, they're actually really good.
And they're quite cheap, and you just use them. They stay together, but they really are absorbent. You get quite a large pack for not much money at all.
Yeah. So we recommend you would need about 6 all-in-one sleep suits or baby grows, and winter grow bag. Just check the tog. If your baby's got to be born in the winter, you can get different togs for different times of the year. The grow bags are actually really, really good, and they're much better and much safer than having a blanket. So yeah, a couple of cardigans and scratch mitts and socks.
Would they be wool or cotton, or would you go for nylon? What would you do?
I think you'd wool and cotton rather than nylon. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And if your baby's going to be born in the winter, a snowsuit for going outside.
And also those snowsuits look quite cool. You can get some really, really nice ones.
And some scratch mitts, like I said, and some socks.
You could also get a baby grow, and some of them have the mittens made as part of the material or sewn on, just because you'll find kids get rid of socks and mittens quite easily. So if baby's a little bit prone to scratching their face, something with an inbuilt mitt would be actually pretty good.
Yeah, and obviously you're going to need a push chair that fully reclines, and so your baby can lie flat. Especially that's for a newborn baby, and some blankets for the push chair. And normally you just need a nappy bag, or it clips onto the pram. It sometimes comes with a pram.
Yeah.
But if not, they can be quite pricey actually. These nappy bags. So
yeah,
we used a camera. A photographer's bag. Yeah. It's got lots of wee different compartments. It was a quarter of the price of the fancy bag that fits onto the pram, and it was actually much better.
Yeah, I think also size-wise, you're not sure what you need. So you can go get this huge big thing, and a couple of weeks in you go, well, actually, I don't need this huge big thing, and I've spent 150 quid on it. Whereas if you get something smaller, or something very cheap and small, and then you can from there judge, all right, do I need something slightly bigger? Is this suitable? All of this, of course, fits on the buggy. So the buggy is probably one of the more expensive items you'll buy. Again, there's no need to spend thousands. You can spend thousands on buggies. You also need to ask yourself, right, what sort of buggy am I going to get? Is it going to have the child car seat built in that you switch out into the car? What is it you're going to need? So that's all something you and your partner need to consider, the whole environment, because it might be nice having a lot of stuff, but once you've been schlepping it around for quite some time, you'll be like, I'm a bit tired of this.
Yeah.
Car seats. Now, car seats, before you and your partner leave the hospital, the staff will want to see that you can place baby in a car seat and strap them in correctly. That's pretty straightforward. Bit of practice, we would recommend not strapping them in with a puffer jacket.
Yeah, don't do that.
You must also know, obviously, how to place the car seat in the car properly. Now, up to 15 months of age, it is recommended, and this is a government recommendation, to have a rearward-facing car seat. A lot of cars also you would not be able to place that car seat on the front seat due to the placement of the airbag. Some cars you can disable the airbag, some cars you cannot. So 10 to 1, you would probably want to put baby in the back where either you or mom can be alongside them, but it must be a rearward facing seat up till the age of 15 months. And that's, of course, that if you're in an accident, baby's head is not thrown forward. As an adult, that's unpleasant and dangerous, but for a baby, it's considerably worse. So a rearward facing car seat, the quality of which, again, you can spend a lot of money on a car seat. In terms of quality, you can go to the government website to check out what it is you need. 2 ways of measuring. One is by height of the child and one is by weight. So you can look at the gov.uk website on child car seats and what the law requires. But in terms of the quality, you need to look for a couple of things on the shell of the seat. So typically they're made of plastic, but you need some quality marks on them. So for those that are height-based, you need to look for an E mark that is circled, and also the designator R129 for seats that are weight-based, and that'll be more relevant for a newborn. You would also look for the circled E. You'd also look for ECE R44, and these are the standards around the structure of a child car seat. We would not recommend that you use someone else's. We understand that family could have something really nice and they'd really insist that you get it so you don't need to spend the money on it. But much like a motorcycle helmet, you need to get a new one to protect something very important, and you don't know the history. Has it been dropped? Is there a crack? And you can get a car seat that has the approval marks on them for not a lot of money. So you don't need, it's not as if there's a whole raft of cheap, unapproved seats and you need to scour through them. It's illegal to sell them. And any of your main suppliers will have something of a suitable quality for you.
Yeah, and these good suppliers, your bigger names, brands, will fit the car seat into your car for you, or at least show you how to fit it the first time. Some of the other shops have got the car seat in the shop, so they'll show you how to fit it in the shop, connect it up, and then take it back out before you even buy it. So that's a really good service as well.
Yeah, some of them come with a seat base which clips onto the ISOFIX. ISOFIX is simply steel hoops that are welded into the chassis of the car, and then the base clips onto those, and then the chair clips onto the base. The other methods of securing it are with the car's seat belt, and they should come with full instructions and even maybe a video to show you how to do it.
And both kinds are great. Both kinds are really safe,
yes.
And they're really, really good.
You could also look, I think it's childcarseats.org.uk for further information, and that will help you on selecting the right seat.
And don't worry if it takes you 25 minutes to install it the first time. After a while, you'll be installing them and taking them out and in minutes. Also, things that you maybe not need, like the bins for the nappies.
Did we see one for 80 quid?
Yeah, like
online?
a digital bin, wraps up the nappy and makes it smell nice. Just buy it. You don't need it. I mean, if you want it, get it, go for it. But you definitely don't need it.
No.
You know, you can get a bag of nappy bags, a wee box, and it kind of rolls out, and they're scented, and you just take them straight to the bin anyway for
Exactly.
a pound.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely don't need the nappy bins. There are the few things that we don't need. There's probably a whole load of things you don't need.
A ton of things.
Especially if you're a first-time parent and you think, oh, I need to go, and then you go into a shop and you'll see all these cool gadgets and gizmos, fancy electric chairs that you press a button and it massages the baby for 200 quid to 300 quid high chair.
Electric chairs, okay.
You don't need any of this stuff. You know, IKEA sells really good plastic high chairs. I can't remember how much they are exactly, but they're very good. You know, you see them everywhere. Quite a lot of restaurants use them because they're so reliable. You don't need to go and spend the world.
There's so much. It preys on your fear of, am I doing enough or the right thing for my child?
Yeah.
And you know,
people
we've
just
been
want
doing
best
this for
for
how
their
many
kids.
tens of thousands of years, and you know, we've improved. We've got good stuff now. Yes, technology has helped, but you don't need to buy every single thing to show you're a good parent.
Yeah.
That's not what good parenting is.
Yeah, your kid's not missing out if it's not got the massage chair.
No.
You know?
I mean, when you're 40, maybe you're missing out when you don't have a massage chair, but not when you're 4 days old.
But also with your partner and what you can do now, like we said earlier, exercising and stuff like that. But it's also a good idea to attend the antenatal visits with her, any scans, you know, and don't wait to be offered. Just try and say that you're going to come along. If you can make it off your work or whatever, but try and prioritise it over your work if you can. But another top tip I would say would be read to your baby. And I'm not meaning from when it's born. I mean right now. Speak to the bump, tell it stories, read to it, sing to it, and I can guarantee you they'll hear your voice, they'll recognise your voice. And I think we've actually covered this in a few other podcasts, so it's really important. With the duties around the house, before birth or after birth, don't look at anything as mum's duties. You know, share responsibilities, and especially after birth, try and pick up as much responsibility as you possibly can. Just to help her with the healing and getting used to everything that's changed in her body, and dealing with a newborn baby is really tiring. Just try and pick up as much responsibility as you can. Whether you're not a very good cook or whatnot, try your best. Anyway, she'll definitely appreciate your effort. And it's also a really good idea to join a dad's club or a dad's group.
Is that because we run dad's groups?
Yeah, it might be something to do with that, but it's definitely a benefit for new dads to be. Just check your local area. Obviously, we don't cover everywhere.
We don't cover everywhere, no. I wish we could, but we can't.
You know, and it's definitely beneficial to every dad that's came.
Yeah, because you know, kids and experiences are all different, and we often get caught up in a thing of it needs. You know, this child needs to be exactly a certain way. I need to be a certain way. And when they don't meet or hit sort of targets that we put up for ourselves in our minds, we go, oh, something wrong with the child, something wrong with me. No. And this is why it's great to have someone around, guys who've got slightly older kids. They can talk about, when they start teething, that happened, mine did this differently. It's all about that support where it's like, actually, you know what? Sure, we've all had children being born and they're here now at group, but to hear the different experiences is really, really helpful. Yeah,
and if anything else, at the very least, it might just give mum an hour or 2 hours on her own that she's not had since baby's been born, you know, and she's been carrying about the bump before that. So it might just be a wee bit of respite for mum, even if you don't get it out, but I can guarantee you will.
And this will also help just with your own bonding with the child. It's great for kids to be out with their dads. I mean, sure, you're not going to be doing too much in the way of crazy active things when your child is 4 or 5 weeks old, but you know, it's the start.
Yeah, and another thing it'd be, and I wish this for every dad, but you know, I know it's not possible all the time, but is to take as much time off as possible when your baby's born at the beginning, to help mom, but to bond with baby as well. So if you've got some holidays saved up or some paternity pay, try and maximise that. I know it's a bit different for self-employed guys. It's And
Quite difficult for
yeah,
self-employed guys,
it's really
actually.
awkward
Yeah.
and hard work. Whether you need to blast it in the months before
Yeah.
to put away for a rainy day as
Yeah.
such, to take time off. But it's definitely worth it in the long run if you can manage it.
We would also say check with your employer what their policy is. Part of the reason for that is that it often varies from company to company and from employer to employer. So some have very generous terms for paternity leave. Other times you've got to be very careful what you're agreeing to. We know of incidences where dads were about to sign up for it and they looked at some of the conditions. There would be loss of, was it national insurance payments?
Yeah, they would
pension payments?
Yeah, pension payments, the affect their holidays accrued and any bonuses they may be due.
Right.
So they might lose bonus completely.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely check it out because it might not be as much money as you were expecting.
Yeah.
Some guys expect nothing to change in their pay, and when it comes down to it, their pay is extremely lower than what they were expecting, and that can really sting, especially after you've just had a newborn baby. So make sure you've went through every wee piece of information that you've got on the paternity leave and paternity pay, and see your line manager if need be.
And finally,
Yeah.
despite all these things, and it sounds like, oh, there's a lot to take in and there's things to be aware of, we can assure you that it will definitely get easier.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
And it's worth it as well.
Yeah. I've had guys come up to me and say, Joe, when will this get easier? And I've been like, "Man, how long's a piece of string?"
Yeah.
But it will happen.
Because it's a total shift. It's a total shift in life. And it's, if you've not done it before, it's like, what is going on? But it does get easier. You get accustomed to it. Your babies grow. There's always new demands, but part of it is some of the old demands disappear.
Yeah.
And you see this child growing before you, which is a wonderful experience. You might say at 3 months, I've not had 3 months sleep, and I can appreciate that, and I can appreciate how hard that is. But believe us, it does get easier, and it does get better.
It does, and then people do it again.
Yeah.
So it must get better.
We both decided that.
So
would be
some
a
people
great
do it 3 and 4 times.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely gets easier.
So we hope you've found this valuable. Do come along to our antenatal workshop if you can. It's free. You'd book online at Eventbrite. Just search for Homestart Glasgow South and you'll see the availability. Just book online and we'll be in touch closer to the time.
Yeah, in previous podcasts we've said they were on a Wednesday, but they're actually moved to Thursdays now, normally the middle of the month. Hopefully see you then. And we cover all these topics in more depth.
Thanks, guys. Joe, anything more from your side?
No, other than thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah, good. And all the best to you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.